Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is Quincy Avery Friday. Quincy Avery, quarterback coach to the stars, guru himself. He went to Morehouse, but we'll let that part slide. Brother, what's going on?
Man, I'm blessed. It don't got the ring to it like Foxworth Friday, but I'm going to try and hold up mind to the bargain.
It is amazing how powerful alliteration is. Anything that's got them same 2 letters right there, it just hits. Like, why is there not a day of the week that starts with a B or a Q? You know what I'm saying? We be running things out here.
That's a fact.
So, one thing I want to ask you, and for people who don't know this, Quincy works with a lot of quarterbacks as a quarterback coach. You played quarterback at Morehouse. I don't know if people fully know this, and that's the question. So as a quarterback coach, like, what do you do?
It's a great question. So the thing that I work on primarily is skill development. So there's lots of other trainers out there who might work on speed, strength, all those things. I find myself putting people's feet in the right directions, teach them how to turn, teach them how to rotate, teach them how to get their arm path correct. So a lot of times you'll see people talk about, oh, this quarterback's not playing well. It's on their quarterback coach. I just teach them how to throw. I'm not telling them how to read a play, go through reads, work through the progressions. That's not my job. I just try to help you throw the ball better.
So it's kind of like a Tom House sort of thing.
That's really the world we live in. Tom House really started in baseball, started getting into football, and our business kind of grew from the things that he was doing.
Although I will say about Tom House, after a while you start looking at Tom House and he was just like, hey, you want to try something? I just like to throw a Frisbee. You think throwing a Frisbee might help? I don't know if he's actually had anybody throw a Frisbee, but I guarantee you he's thought of it.
He's had people throw bowling pins. He's had people do a lot of wild stuff that I probably wouldn't recommend. I think that he's gone a little on the deep end of some of the things he tries to get done.
Right. So the separation is somebody like you is working with mechanics as much as anything else, and the coaches on a roster are more inclined toward the more cognitive and schematic sort of things.
100%. NFL coaches don't talk to their guys at all about skills or skill development. That's 0% their world. All they want to talk about is how do we run this play better? And if you can't throw the ball well enough to be there, then they're going to get you off the team.
All right. So what I find interesting about that is I do feel like if you're talking about the other positions, skill development is a part of that. Or do I have that wrong?
No, you're 100% right. A wide receiver coach will spend a lot more time doing drills throughout their practice, or O-linemen working on the skill development on their end, because there's less to do for them schematically. They have to think about a lot less in terms of read, protection, getting everybody in the right spot, and being able to work through it that way. So all those things are different.
Okay, so I want to talk to you a bit about this episode will air on Friday, which is to say that the night that most people get this, Shedeur Sanders will be starting his first preseason game for the Browns. They'll be going up against the Panthers. Number one, do you think there will really be much to be gleaned from this game? And I ask that question because a part of why he's starting is they have so many injured quarterbacks. And I would think that job one for the Browns should be making sure another quarterback does not get hurt.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to really be able to take much away from this at all. But it's so crazy to see all of the excuses people are making for him before the game. You're a 4-string quarterback drafted in the 5th round. Any opportunity that you get to play is a blessing. You have the fortune of being able to play likely a whole half. The only other quarterback they have is a guy they signed one day ago, Snoop Huntley. And it's just you. You've been at practice. You've been getting these opportunities. You should be thankful, grateful for the opportunity, because a lot of times 4th quarterbacks don't get the chance to get on the field, and they're just simply getting cut. So he should be ecstatic and take advantage of this opportunity.
But what do you think, if you were running a team right now and you had these 2 quarters with him, what would you be trying to do?
I would be hoping to see – I would get him throwing the ball a lot. The only thing I want to see is, can he process like an NFL quarterback? I don't need you to complete every throw. I need you to be able to take the completions when given, get to your checkdowns, but also be aggressive with the football. So if he throws some interceptions, not a big deal, but at least be going through the reads, be able to run the operation the right way. He hasn't had to do that in any of his college career, and it's been a big transition in terms of the things he's doing now to the things he's been doing before. So how have we been able to make these steps in this limited amount of time?
All right, so it's a little surprising to me, I think, and maybe to some people, to say that he didn't do this in college, because one would think that hiring Pat Shurmur and, an NFL guy to be the offensive coordinator at Colorado, that would be the thing you would get out of it, right?
You would think, but so much of their offense was built before Shermer got there. And then a lot of things they started doing when Shermer became the offensive coordinator were just things Shedeur felt comfortable doing, which I understand. I want to make my college quarterback comfortable. But Deion's job was not, let's develop him for the NFL. He said he wanted to win football games. And I think he did a pretty good job of doing that with him there, but he did not get him prepared for the things he had to do in the NFL.
Now, you and I were both, I think you were maybe a little more skeptical of Shedeur than I was coming out of college. And boy, did we get hell for that one, right? The argument that I made every time around that was, and I think I wound up calling you to talk about this. We had never talked before. And I was just like, okay, I got to talk to somebody that knows something about what's going on. But I think Shedeur is really important to people who didn't watch much college football. Right. Like, I think that, where he stands, like I was talking to somebody about this the other day, how a lot of sports consumption has become like consumed like the way that people watch reality TV. And so you pick the character that you want to root for. And he, for a lot of people, is the character that they wanted to root for. So for you, what is the biggest thing that you think that he would have needed to improve from being a college quarterback to being in the NFL?
So the thing about Shedeur that was the most alarming to me in terms of how I looked at him as a quarterback was not his arm strength or accuracy or any of those things. It's how long it takes him to throw the football. Like, his processing rate of speed, very slow. So if it takes you longer than everybody, and then not only are you not throwing the ball down the field, he threw more passes behind the line of scrimmage than anybody. So those are the things I'm like, this is not making sense. You can't both take a long time and not push the ball down the field, because he's not athletic enough to be able to do things in the pocket that's just going to extend plays. You would think Shedeur Sanders, son of Deion, would be the most athletic college quarterback, and he's anything but far from that.
I'll tell you, my hot take, I will not at all be surprised if he's the starter on week 1.
I would bet all of my money he's not the starter on week 1. I don't have enough money to really bet with you, but whatever you're willing to bet, I'm willing to cover it. I would say no chance he's a starter. I think that he's fighting for a job more than anything else.
Yeah, let me put it a different way then. I feel like we know how training camp can go, and guys being hurt and missing a little time or missing a couple weeks can alter the course of history. One example, Phillip Rivers held out in 2004, and Drew Brees had enough time to save his job and keep it and completely alter the direction of his career in a situation where they wanted to give the job to somebody else, right? They knew who they wanted to give it to, but it didn't work out that way. Joe Flacco is about my age, as Deion said. Deion's older than me, and Joe Flacco is his age. Okay. I'm older than Joe Flacco, but whatever. Kenny Pickett, I guess we're still doing this, but if you want to, all right, we're going to keep this going. Dillon Gabriel is a shocker. I think was a shocker for a lot of people when he went in the 3rd round. It still remains a bit of a shocker. If Shedeur has more reps and more opportunity to play than these guys in training camp, Flacco, of course, being a bit of an outlier because he's played there already, you would assume that a man his age doesn't need that much preseason time. But if Shedeur can't get a leg up in this time period, then what are we talking about? I guess becomes the question.
That's the point I'm trying to make. We're on the same page. He's going to get an opportunity to get more reps than anybody, more preseason snaps. I think Dillon Gabriel will be out another week, so he'll probably miss the 2nd preseason game, only get the 3rd game. We're going to see a lot of Shedeur. And I think that that's going to cause us to wonder, does he need to be in the NFL?
Yeah, and I think they're going to be bad in a way that everybody gets a chance to play.
Anybody can throw the ball. Come on, let's take a spin. Let's see if you can do it.
Well, I will ask you this. As you work with Deshaun Watson, is there any chance we see him this year?
Now, will he be healthy enough to play at one point this year? Definitely. What the Cleveland Browns decide to do with him when he is healthy enough to, that's up to them. But I think we've actually been throwing a good bit. We just started throwing. So I think that he'll be ready pretty quickly here. I think quicker than a lot of people expect.
Well, how much does an Achilles injury affect a quarterback, right? Like, you think about this as a basketball injury, it's the most damning injury that you have. Football, it doesn't necessarily go that way. The only quarterback off the top of my head I remember with a prominent Achilles injury was Dan Marino, but he was at an age where he wasn't going to be the same on the backside anyway.
Yeah, we had Dan, we had Kirk, he bounced back a little bit slower. Aaron Rodgers, I think that at the end of last season, we got to see a lot of Aaron Rodgers at a high level. He was playing really well, throwing the ball well. He looked like old Aaron Rodgers. I think Deshaun's game is more predicated on his ability to move, extend plays in the pocket. He's not somebody you see make a ton of on-time throws. A lot of the things that he does cause him to run around execute in that way. So I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him. I think that if he is able to come back and play, I think that'll actually be helpful for him because he has to learn how to play in the pocket within that structure, throw on time. And I think that it could be something that'd be beneficial for him if he gets an opportunity to come back this year with the Browns.
Well, let me ask you this. What has been the biggest difference between 2020 Deshaun Watson, who, if you had room for skepticism before 2020, which I think was fair on a number of levels, it was all gone that year. And nothing has really been the same since in terms of the performance.
Right. He was number 1 in passing yards, number 2 in completion. It was crazy. The stats that he put up that year, I think you could argue he was the number 1 or number 2 best quarterback in the league. I think that the way that he played was with a level of confidence that we haven't seen him play with since. Of course, all the things that went on, all the things that happened, I don't want to brush over those, but doesn't play that year, goes to Cleveland Browns, out another year, 3 games into the next season, he's hurt in an offense that I think is a little bit different than things he's been traditionally asked to do. And then last year, some of the things that I saw on film were not great. And I think that his fundamentals got a little bit away from the things that he'd done before. You'll see his base got a little bit crazy, wasn't able to throw the ball as consistently as he wanted. I think that he was moving in the right direction, tears his Achilles. So all those things have happened. And I think we've just seen a lack of confidence more than anything is what I feel like I've seen on the screen. If you're not confident in the offense you're running, and not that the coach is a good coach, but confident that you know exactly what you need to do every time you step to the line of scrimmage so that you can execute the right way. That's difficult. And that's where I think that we've seen the biggest decline in play.
Well, let me ask you this question about just quarterbacking and confidence, because this has always been, I don't even know if a theory is the right way to put it, but everything is about how quick you get something done, right? See the throw, make the throw. Like that's Kyle Shanahan's thing where he talks about, if you just want you to rip it when you see it. That's the thing that Brock Purdy will do. I see the throw. I might not get it right, but I'm going to go ahead and make it now. The throw isn't there yet. It's going to be there. I'll make it. To me, it's not as much as I think a lot of people like to make it as like, if you can see it, you can be it sort of thing with confidence. I think about it in terms of literally how confidence shortens the amount of time that you need to get something done in a game where milliseconds matter that much.
You'll see when I think about confidence, just like you said, it's a guy who's willing to throw the ball early before the guy's left his break. So he's still leaning one way. You see, CJ Stroud is one of the best young quarterbacks ever to me at this. He is so confident in the things that he's doing that he's going to throw the ball while Stephen still has 2 steps to get out of his break. You'll see Nico Collins like surprised that a ball hits him in his face mask. That confidence is earned, but it also is provided to you by the coaching staff. The coaching staff gives you the permission to make mistakes. And if you don't have the confidence that you can make a mistake, get back in the game and do well, then it gets really difficult. And I think that's why we see such a lack of success from backup quarterbacks. When those guys are nervous to make mistakes, you don't get to play with that level of anticipation, that level of confidence. And I think that's the biggest determining factor in how well a guy really plays throughout his career.
And it was also why Joe Flacco as a backup worked, because he wasn't as good as it may have seemed. But what in the world did he have to be scared of?
What are y'all going to do? Hello? I'm about to throw this ball when I feel like throwing it. Either we going to catch it or they going to catch it, and we'll see how it works. Jameis Winston is someone who plays with an extreme amount of confidence too, and you see it go bad, but he's also someone who didn't get a ton of time in order to correct their mistakes. So all those things we get to see.
Well, Jameis got a different confidence to me, and that is he is, and this happens, a dude that I think in a football way is very smart, but also makes bad decisions. Like it seems to me like he can get a spatial awareness of everything that he thinks is about to go on, and he makes that decision early. And the next thing you know, this dude is not where he thought he was going to be, and now we all running the other way.
His decision got made a little bit before it should have. He was so confident that my arm can do things that it may not be able to do that I'm going to make this throw anyway. Another guy on the confidence scale, I call him irrational arm arrogance, Geno Smith. To me, he is the best thrower in the NFL right now. He makes every throw exactly when he wants to, how he wants to throw it. And it's interesting to see a guy like that who wasn't able to start for such a long time. He was a backup, didn't get his opportunities. Then he gets in there, he's like, F it. I'm about to let this thing rip. If it goes well, it goes well. I was thinking about retiring before this anyway. So now I get my chance, and we got to see some special things from Geno.
Yo, it's so interesting that you mentioned that, because I think it took him a while to shake off what people thought of him as the Jets quarterback, which is wildly unfair as I watch so many guys, people still trying to talk themselves into this Sam Darnold thing. They talked themselves into the Sam Darnold thing long enough for him to have, or the Vikings at least, to have the season that they had last year, only for the season to end with him being the exact same Sam Darnold that we thought he was, right? But people are still talking themselves into it. In a way, I feel like people are still talking themselves into Kenny Pickett. Clearly, the Browns on some level were hoping that he could come in and be the guy to start. It took a long time, but Geno shook that off. And I do wonder, and I appreciate you going into that. If you could do it a little bit more, it'd be great. Explaining to people what it is about Geno that makes him good. Because, I mean, he's in his mid-30s now, and it doesn't feel like it because he had like 7 years off.
Now, I don't know if he can always throw the way that he throws now, so I'll be clear there. But the things that I see, I'm going to talk about some nerds. I'm going to get really nerdy on you.
Do it. That's what we're here for.
Okay, so the ability to throw the football and generate force is caused by a couple of things. Ground force, internal rotation, external rotation. So ground force, the ability to put force in the ground. Internal rotation. Let's say I'm facing you. My ability to coil, stay loaded, right? And you should be able to see my back. If you watch any clip of Geno Smith, he is better than anybody at internally rotating and the quickness and speed in which he gets his front foot down in order to generate foot strike, which gives us ground force. And then his arm has the ability to do, so he didn't used to throw like that. He learned to throw with just his arm. So imagine putting the components of a great throwing mechanics together with a natural skill you've developed your whole life. So now he has the ability to make amazing throw with his hand, touch, placement here. And then he's put together all of the sequencing schematics of a great thrower, which I think is taking him to another level.
So can you help me understand why it is that Seattle would think that going to Sam Darnold after the season ended with your friendly reminder that Sam Darnold was still Sam Darnold, why that would be your move to make rather than going back to Geno?
I think there's two things there. I think the GM, Schneider, had a really strong perspective of the things that he wanted to do in the building and getting away from the things that Pete Carroll did. Now, the second thing, you got a young head coach who's a little right around Geno's age. So their ability to really connect that way, I don't think was there. I think that when somebody wants to be a head coach and talk to somebody as if they work for them, despite this person being the same age, making more money than they do, it's a little bit difficult and changes that dynamic. So with those two things put together, I think that it's a great fit for Geno to be with Pete Carroll.
I think it greatly gets underestimated. Like, what an amazing story the Geno Smith story is when you really, really think about it. Never forget, and I bring this up a lot because I don't want anybody to ever forget it. Eli Manning was playing so bad that to save his job, Ben McAdoo went to Geno Smith, and the owner's response was, fire him tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Let's not forget, Geno Smith won that game that he came in and started, and they still got him off the field. Let's just be clear. Hey, Geno's playing great. Let's get him out of here.
They fired the coach. And first of all, that coach, look, coach live in the same world we live in, right? And I say all that to say, he knew it had to take a lot for you to bench Eli Manning and put Geno's black ass in there to be your quarterback. You know what's going on, but he is like, there's no chance I don't get fired if I keep rolling Eli out there. And not only did they keep rolling Eli out there to apologize to him for putting Geno's black ass in there over him, he got to keep the job for like 2 more years.
They hit him with the players fuck up. We won't do this again, Eli. All right.
What are you talking about? And they still stunk. It's one thing when you do this with Kobe, right? Like the Lakers did this. Kobe's cooked, but he's still Kobe, right? Let's just go ahead and get out here, tank without looking like we're tanking. Okay, cool. Dog, they did that with Eli.
That old Super Bowl will really buy you some leverage that I did not realize. But yeah. Eli was cooked. He was cooked like Peyton Manning was cooked at the end of his career. He just doesn't get all the blame.
Now, they brought in Daniel Jones to succeed Eli Manning. That did not work out for them. That was another fascinating case. Another one where people are still hoping that this thing, never mind the 4 years that you've already seen, right? We're still, actually it's 5, but we're still hoping this could work out. And he was brought into a situation where, to me, it is very clear somebody, if they weren't hoping that he would take the job, they were just hoping that he would make it very clear how serious they were about taking the job, and that is with Anthony Richardson with the Colts. I am still holding out on this one. I'm not giving up on Anthony Richardson until you absolutely make me give up on him because he's just so ridiculously talented. Now, I don't know where you were on him coming out on the draft because I found the film guys were higher on him than everybody else, even while he was throwing the ball into the second row, throwing it at people's feet, everything else, but apparently always to the person he was supposed to be throwing the ball to.
I think Anthony Richardson, the physical stature, the physical nature, all those things that he can do, all the things that we saw Cam Newton do, we're like, this guy could do those things. I wasn't as high on him just because he didn't do it for long enough. If he would have done what he did for a couple years, being able to make reads like that, the throws that he can make out of this world, I love all those things. I think he has the tools and talent to be a top quarterback in the league. The things that I hear about him from people in the building don't strike me as somebody who I want to be my starting quarterback. And I think that people forget about the respect that you need to garner from your teammates in order to lead an NFL team. You got to have 53 alphas who are willing to rally behind you in order for you to be the starting quarterback. And I don't think he's been able to get that. And you lose a locker room, you're going to lose your career. And that'll happen really, really rapidly.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, if it gets to a place where I've heard it, that I know everybody else has heard it, professionalism was the question with him. Now, he is all of 23 years old, right? Like, we have that part. That's worth noting. I remember when he was in college, his number was 15 because AR-15, right? The same thing as Austin Reeves. And I remember going into his redshirt sophomore year, it was announced, I'm changing my number because it's a bad look in this world of gun violence. And I admit, I took that to indicate a level of maturity that apparently has not existed in a functional sense as a football player. But separate from those things, when you watch him play, do you think it's possible that he could get there? Because I thought that he played a lot better fundamentally after they said they didn't do what they did when they benched him for calling out of the game.
When you watch him, I think that you see flashes of things that give you hope, give you excitement. I think we see the same things. There's throws that he makes and the way he pushes the ball down the football field that gives you general thought, like this guy could be special. So all those things are great. And I even see him work through progressions in a way that I don't think a lot of young guys are doing. So the on the field stuff is not the issue. Now, can we do those things consistently? That is going to be the differentiating factor between him being a quarterback and the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. But he has to do something special to beat out Daniel Jones. And that's what I want to see.
Really? So you don't – does he have to do something? Like what? Okay, put it like this. What would Daniel Jones have to do to win the job? Because, again, I can't believe we're still doing this.
Just stand up there and take a drop and just find 6-yard completions and throw a bunch of checkdowns and get them to be able to draft another quarterback. That's all he has to do. Just don't make us look bad. Show up to places on time. Be where you need to be. Be a quarterback that everybody can look at and say, that's our quarterback. There's lots of teams out there with bad quarterbacks. This wouldn't be any different. And I think people are more okay with their quarterback being bad if they do everything right than a really talented quarterback doing a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, see, I guess, and maybe I'm still holding out because I still want to be right. But the ceiling there with Richardson is still there. And who knows, right? Maybe you wind up in a place where Daniel Jones can get out there and then make it to where you have to bench him. Like, you know, these sorts of things happen. Geno Smith got his job back with the Jets, for example, after a point where Ryan Fitzpatrick went back to being Ryan Fitzpatrick. And then in the Geno Smith story, tore his ACL immediately after. That boy got terrible luck, I tell you. But with the Colts, and I guess you look at Ballard and Steichen and everything else, it had to be bad for them to make the call of, we got to get somebody else in here to do this. Because their asses are on the line if it doesn't work out with Richardson.
And Ballard loves him. Ballard absolutely loved him coming out of the draft. I actually talked to Ballard a lot about Anthony Richardson before the draft. And the feelings that he had about him, the way that he thought about him as a passer, he got me to see things that he does in his game. I'm like, hey, I think that you're right. I think that he can be special. And it would be terrible for him not to be able to do the things that he needs to do. Like we see Kyler Murray be able to manage, there's a lot of guys in that locker room who don't love Kyler Murray, but he's able to manage it well enough for him to still be the starting quarterback. That's all I want Anthony Richardson to do. Because if he gets to be on the field consistently, I think that we're going to see the things that you see and even Chris Ballard sees.
All right. During the break, I'm going to tell Quincy, my Kyler Murray story. And then coming up next, we're going to get into some more quarterbacks. All right, we are back with Quincy Avery, quarterback coach. Now, I see you got the Jalen Hurts jersey behind you. I am going to ask you to tell me, because I have a certain measure of skepticism. I don't know if skepticism is the right way to put it, right? But I am not as high on Jalen Hurts as a lot of people are. What is something that you feel like he does that he actually does not get credit for, beyond the big old winning word?
Yeah, beyond winning, I think that Jalen Hurts rallies a locker room around him and gets them with a singular focus and mission better than anybody I've ever seen. If Jalen Hurts wasn't a quarterback, he'd be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company where he can get everybody in a room to work towards one mission in a way that I've never seen before. When Jalen Hurts was with me preparing for the NFL draft, I've never seen anything like this. He had 3 guys in his apartment who were all training with him. Jalen Hurts would go out and Jalen would not go out. Okay. He didn't go out one time. He's in the living room watching his film. They get back from the club. He's like, yo, y'all take a seat on this couch. We're about to watch film because you guys need to get better like I just got better. He challenges people and makes them do things that they're uncomfortable with and didn't know that they could do until they get with somebody like him. So we can all have a level of skepticism about the things that he does on the field. He does have the best team around him. He does, but he also gets them to win. And there's a lot of other quarterbacks who've had great teams around them and haven't won in the same way that Jalen does. And I think it's a lot to do with who he is and his character and how he's pushing those guys and challenging them each and every day to be the best version of themselves.
I'm going to tell you what I give him credit for. I give credit to any dude that's the dude that got all the ladies loving him and he ain't a sucker about it, right? Like, you're a little bit younger than me, but when LL Cool J was licking his lips all the goddamn time and doing all that stuff, it was so unnecessary, brother, because you don't have to do that, right? It's the Kappas on the yard. They got to act like that, not you. You LL Cool J. You can just be who you are and you can make this happen. That's how I feel when I see Jalen Hurts out there. It's like Allen Iverson was in the same space. Like, oh, okay, cool. They love you. You deserve that. You earned that, right? We ain't even got no room to hate. You see like if we was in the crew, you let us holler at some of the runoff. Appreciate you.
He'd bring them out for you, you know what I'm saying? Get out your way, let you handle your business.
That's what I'm saying. He like, yo, I got a girl, but she got friends, and so we can all come kick it, and then everything be cool, you know?
That's the type of brother Jalen is. I do want to give him credit there. He's done an amazing job with that. Even, you know what I'm saying, how he moved in terms of keeping his relationship on the low, and then we're married.
Now, let me ask this. When you talk about, the Eagles, to your eye, how good are they talent-wise? Because they made some changes. I don't think the offensive line is going to be quite as freakish, but it's still kind of crazy to me that, they got white boys playing DB, and they cold too.
They got the best wide receiver room in the league. They got the best running back in the league. Not the best O-line anymore, but they're going to have one of. Best D-line, best secondary. They have all the things that you need, and I think they've built the team in a way where they've given themselves room at positions of less importance, like linebackers, some of the interior line, but everything else is top tier, top notch. I see them being as the most talented team in the NFL, and they're going to be that way for a while.
I'll say it. You got to be that talented with the Sirianni factor. I'll give this to Sirianni, though. Sirianni got them really on that last year didn't happen. Ain't no defending champions thing, and they really seem to believe it.
He was on the brink of getting fired. I think that people have forgot that he was about to get fired, and he's not a good coach. In my opinion, he's not a good coach. I think that he's the biggest benefactor of Jalen Hurts being on that team because he is immature. And Jalen Hurts looks at him like, you need to get it together. All right, so I'm going to be the adult in the room. You calm your ass down. I got it when I get back out there. And that's the biggest thing for him is he gets to be who he is because Jalen Hurts.
I sent a tweet during the season last year that pops up from time to time. And I think this is when Sirianni got into it with the fans. And I was like, they're just counting down. Like, they're putting off the inevitable. Like, you're going to have to fire this man. And please ask Doug Peterson. It can still happen. Like, the Super Bowl does not necessarily take you that far to prevent somebody from letting you go. But they are that loaded. They're like Howie Roseman. Let us never forget. Howie Roseman got demoted 10 years ago. So they could turn everything over to Chip Kelly, and it took them like 9 months. And they were like, hey,
not going to be able to do
that old thing back. All right. So I want to ask you, moving off the Eagles to the team they lost to, or they beat rather. They did not lose that Super Bowl. I'm sorry. The Kansas City Chiefs. What have you thought of the last couple of years of Patrick Mahomes, where the numbers aren't as good, but it's not like you're going to convince me he got worse?
I don't think he got worse at all. I think that he's been a product of what defense are doing. I think that we're going to see an ability to push the ball down the field a little bit more aggressive this year. I know people have talked so much about these too high shell defenses, this, that, and the third. But I think that the way that they're playing the game now, these too high shells are really rotating into one high simulation looks of too high. So we'll see cover 6, 3 buzz, things like that. And Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to start pushing the ball down the field in a way that he wasn't before. And I think that losing Tyreek Hill causes a lot of that. And I hate to say it, but we see one of the best tight ends of the game slowly but surely becoming one of the not best tight ends of the game. He's really good in moments that matter, but I think it's harder for him to consistently do it each and every week. So they've got to continue to find some guys that can do it. The crazy part is, though, Patrick Mahomes is so underpaid, I will be kicking ass and raising hell about the guys that I have around me because he needs some real talent there.
Well, is he like the new Cam Newton in that sense? Because the thing that Cam Newton has never gotten enough credit for is, even when he was out there with Ted Ginn as his number one receiver, everything else, his belief was, you give me 10 guys, I got it, right? Like I'm going to get this done. Very few quarterbacks as talented as he was would have handled that in that way. Mahomes, who didn't take all the money that he possibly could have, where I'd be mad is like when Dirk was in Dallas and like, I'm giving y'all back all this money for you to give it to who? Like, what are we doing?
Exactly. That boy Patrick Mahomes took the most team-friendly deal ever. 10 years, $50 million. That's just not enough. He's probably the 12th highest paid quarterback right now. If I'm him, we got to renegotiate tomorrow. I'm not sure what kind of equity he's getting in the Kansas City Chiefs post-career, but we need to figure out something.
Well, they went out there and they got some fast guys, but like I like Worthy, but Worthy's not big. Rice is certainly going to have to spend some time on the list for what happened with him, and with that accident. But Mahomes is the best quarterback I feel like I've ever seen, but I understand completely why people would feel or could feel like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen has passed him based on what you've seen.
I think that Lamar Jackson the past couple of years has been playing quarterback position better than anybody. I think that his ability to be so dynamic with his legs, we take that away from him. He's still one of the best throwing quarterbacks in the NFL, something that we talk about as a weakness coming out of college. He completes 68% of his passes. And he's being able to go through reads and work through a system in that way. I don't think anybody's close to what Lamar's doing. So
really, but what do you think separates him from Josh Allen?
I think that the added ability in the run game with their zone read scheme, he really takes away a defender for the other guys. It's not just about what he's doing. I think that Derrick Henry is not the same quarterback as he was before, but the things that Lamar Jackson has been able to do for him allows him to take his game to the next level. I think their stats are pretty comparable, although Lamar Jackson's are better. So he's a little bit better there, but he makes everybody else around him so much better. And I think that's what makes him special, in my opinion.
Do you think he gets a little hiccupy in the postseason and that becomes the issue there?
I think that he may make the moment too big for himself. And that
was how I felt.
We just want you to be the same guy that you were all regular. You don't have to do anything extra. And I think that that's the biggest message that we got to get across to him is just be yourself because you are good enough. And, people are going to make plays, but I think that you're going to make more if you just allow yourself to be consistent.
And I admit I am generally skeptical. Like panickers are going to be panickers forever. So like Sam Darnold's going to be a panicker forever. Josh Allen, somewhere along the way,
I was going to say
every rule and everything that I've ever seen. He stopped being inaccurate. And you remember that game against the Texans
where he threw the ball down the field to a fullback. Sir, what is going on? What did you see that none of us saw that made you think that was a good decision? Like
that was one of several crazy decisions that he made.
I watched that game so thankful. I said, my life is going to change because of you.
But then he turned into something completely different. Like, he looks as confident when I see him as anybody when these moments come around now. And I did not think it was possible for people to make that transition. Lamar seemed to do that in part in the second half of that game against Buffalo, where it started like a lot of those other playoff games did, where he's coming off the sideline and he's slamming the helmet and you can see how tight he was. And even with Mark Andrews making the two worst plays literally of his career, you saw, it felt to me like Lamar had perhaps turned a corner at that point.
And I hope and think that that's what we have. Like, he got to do it. He really won that game, in my opinion. He did everything that you needed to do to win the game. Some people just fell short in terms of being able to do the things that they needed to finish the job. But I think after seeing that, as poorly as he played in the first half, as well as he played in the second half, he's like, I got it. And I'm willing to bet a lot of money that the Baltimore Ravens win the Super Bowl because of that.
They're another loaded squad. Like, they have the guys to the place now where, and it feels somewhat unfair, it's there's no excuse for Lamar Jackson now. Well, things happen. You never know like what the circumstances are going to be. But no, you will not be able to say, as you could have in previous years, that they just didn't have enough dudes.
If they stay healthy, they're up there with the Philadelphia Eagles. The secondary they have with Kyle Hamilton, those two corners, they've got a lot of things working in the right direction.
All right. Before we get out of here, you being in Atlanta, I am very curious how this is going to go with Captain Durag, Michael Penix, who does not have waves. I don't think he even has hair, but he has do-rags. Do-rags by the thousands of do-rags. I have been kinder to the Falcons for the selection than a lot of other people because I'm like, hey, we're going to find out, right? You think he's that guy? We're going to see if he's that guy. He was older than your typical draft pick. There are mobility questions. There are questions about his ability to throw it over the middle. But they've got maybe the most talented running back in the league behind him, Drake London on the outside, and maybe this is the year that Kyle Pitts puts it together. What do you see from Penix, or what do you think one should expect from him?
I think that we're going to see somebody who's able to be explosive in the passing game. I think that they were completely limited from that. They have a really good wide receiver room, and I think that we didn't get to see that with Kirk Cousins. He just wasn't who he was supposed to be. I anticipate him being under Jaden Daniels, but he's going to be the best year two quarterback this upcoming year. I think their offense does some really good things. I think Zach Robinson is going to put him in a lot of positions where he's able to play action, come off of that, Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and just check it down to Bijan, right? And if you're able to do those things at the level I saw him do things at last year, I think that he's going to be special. Now, if he can take the do-rag off, I think that puts us in a better spot. I just went to a country club with Penix. This is a fancy country club, $100,000 at least membership. He was definitely wearing the silky. Like, do-rag on. Everybody's looking at him like, yo, you got your shirt tucked in, hat forward. Nah, he's got a pink do-rag. I thought that was the wildest thing I'd ever seen.
Yo, kind of here for it. I mean, that dude was in college doing halftime interviews, shouting out the homies on the bricks. Right? They just named a street after him, and where he from in Tampa, it's the intersection of Martin Luther King and Michael Penix Drive. And I have been told, and if you guys from Tampa think this is wrong, okay. But I have been told that is not just sounds like a treacherous intersection. It is, in fact, not the place. Like, Michael Penix is like, do you have any clue what I had to do to get here? And you know that because he was willing to go to Indiana to get out.
He just is trying to make it out. Whatever he can do to get out, he's willing to do.
But do you think he has it? Because as a college quarterback, he looked like he had it. And all that, like, if you watched him play at Indiana, look, he was too good to be playing at that version of Indiana. We'll put it like that.
He was, to me, talent-wise, I think that he's up there. He definitely had the benefit of just being older than a lot of other guys. So he's going to be really good right now for a year two quarterback. But does he get better than that is the real question. I think that we're going to see him hit his peak really early. And I think we're probably there, honestly. He's not going to get much better than who he is right now, but I think that's still going to be a really good quarterback for a really long time. Maybe not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but you're going to be able to have success with him as your quarterback. You might not win because you're your quarterback, but he's going to be able to do a lot of things the right way.
All right, we got around the NFL. We're not going to get to every quarterback here, but the last one I want to ask about before we go is, are you ready for the Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams crossover? That, I mean, big brain Ben can do some incredible things. Caleb Williams, talent-wise, can do some incredible things. How does that come together?
You know how I was talking about Deshaun playing in an offense that was so much different than the things that he was comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Johnson is going to ask you to be as on time, as rhythmic as you could possibly be at the quarterback position. It is 1 hitch, 2 hitch, 3 hitch, hit the check down. That is not how Caleb Williams plays. Now, if he can find the ability to play in that way and then let his Superman cape come out when it's absolutely necessary, I think we're going to see great things. But I think this year is going to be very, very rough for Caleb Williams. And it's not because he's not talented. It's just because we're asking him to do things that are so different than the things that he's been asked to do previously.
Well, knowing what you know about what Ben Johnson does, is there room for him to compromise? Because it seems silly to try to make the dude be something that he's not.
No, I don't think that as a coach, you are going to be who you've always been. And I think that oftentimes we're like, well, why doesn't the coach just change and do the things that the quarterback's comfortable with? Well, you're the guy calling the plays. You are always going to become what you are used to, what you're familiar with, the things that you have created your success with. You're like, I only know how to be successful this way. And I haven't got a head coaching job doing any other way. So for me to do something different now, I would rather just find a new quarterback. And that's the issue that happens when a quarterback gets somewhere and loses their coach first couple of years. You get a new head coach or a new system, and it just doesn't fit the things that you were able to do successfully to get there. Not that their offense last year never made his playing style look particularly great either. But the situation we're in right now, I don't know if it matches.
Now, I'm a day one Detroit Lions fan since 2021 rather. And it's going to take me a long time to get over the bright idea of letting Jameson Williams, who already tried to hump the center of the earth after scoring a touchdown, and then saying we need to let that man throw a pass. I'm sure he'll make the right read.
I'm not sure who makes worse decisions, Jameson Williams or Ben Johnson, in a situation where he asked him to make a good decision.
Brother, we still had a chance to win the game. We still had a chance to win the game. And the dude that got caught placing bets at the facility is the one that you put the ball in his hand to do the right thing.
He's got a propensity for bad decisions, okay? So we need to slow this thing down, take a step back, you know what I'm saying, give ourselves an opportunity to win the game. But as I said before, you're going to do the things that you've done to get here. He likes to go trick plays. And he said, I'm going to let it ride. And that's where it got him.
Hey, man, that's Quincy Avery. Check him out on Twitter, quarterback coach. My man, first time having you on. I appreciate it. Hope we can get to do this again.
Man, truly appreciate you.
All right, man. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 3 times a week. Ryan Brumley handling everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Also, remember, we are going to continue our list of the top 25 athletes of the last 25 years for the year 2025. We will get the top of that list, 5 through 1, on Monday. Follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.